Have you ever walked into a room, said nothing, but somehow the energy shifted? Not because you were louder, not because you looked different, but because you were fully present. Some call it aura, but it's not some mystical glow or spiritual halo. It's the silent gravity of someone who has been through fire and came out with calm in their bones. It's built in the quiet, when no one's watching, when you choose not to speak, not because you're afraid, but because you've already answered the question inside. I used to think strength meant force, that to be powerful, you had to be loud, always fighting, always proving. But real power is soft, it's subtle, it's deeply rooted within. Today, I want to tell you about those people, not superheroes in movies, but real ones, the kind that walk among us unnoticed. And yet, you feel them when they enter the room, the kind who don't need attention because their presence already speaks volumes. And if you're watching this, maybe you're looking for that too. Not the spotlight, but the kind of stillness that doesn't shake, even when the world does. These are the 5 signs. No one teaches them in school. No one tells you in conversation, but everyone senses it when you carry them. And if you're ready, let's begin. 1. You don't react, you reprogram. When someone pushes your buttons, do you explode or do you pause and take back control? See, most people live like a set of dominoes. One insult, one bad day, one unexpected comment, and they fall fast, loud, messy. But those with a strong aura, they don't fall because they don't live in reaction mode. They've reprogrammed their mind to respond, not react. And there's a big difference. Reaction is instant, emotional, unfiltered. Response is intentional, thoughtful. It's the space between the trigger and your choice. That space is where strength lives. The ancient Stoics knew this. Seneca once said, "A man is as wretched as he has convinced himself that he is." Meaning, your inner world defines how you see the outer one. Think of a pilot in a cockpit flying through turbulence. He doesn't scream or panic every time the wind shifts. He checks his instruments. He breathes. He adjusts. That's what someone with a strong aura does in life. They've trained their emotional instrument panel so when chaos hits, they don't join it, they govern it. A beautiful example? Nelson Mandela. 27 years in prison, and yet when he walked out, he didn't scream for revenge. He called for unity. That wasn't weakness. That was mastery. Anyone can react. It takes no strength to shout or slam the door or fire back online, but to pause, to breathe, to ask yourself, what part of me is being touched here and why? That is the kind of self-awareness most people never reach because it requires silence and courage and practice. But once you learn it, your aura shifts. People feel it, and more importantly, you feel it. But emotional mastery is only the beginning. Because what good is power if you can't be alone with it? In the next chapter, we explore a rare strength, the kind found not in crowds, but in solitude. Let's talk about walking alone without feeling empty. There's a kind of silence that doesn't feel empty. It feels whole. Some people fear being alone, not because they need company, but because when it's quiet, they have to face themselves. But those with a strong aura, they've already met themselves in the dark, and they didn't look away. See, there's a difference between being lonely and being alone with purpose. Loneliness is when your soul reaches out for something to fill a void, but solitude is when your soul returns inward to remember who you are. A strong aura isn't built in crowds. It's built in quiet rooms, on long walks with no destination, in moments where no one is clapping. But you're still showing up for yourself, because the one who walks alone, with clarity and intent, carries a presence louder than any applause. Take Steve Jobs, co-founder of Apple. At 19, he left everything behind and traveled to India, not to find answers from others, but to face his questions in silence. That time alone didn't make him weaker. It made him precise, focused, visionary. He returned not louder, but clearer. And that clarity shaped the world. The world may never reward your solitude, but it will feel your clarity. Because when you no longer fear silence, you stop filling your life with noise. And when you stop chasing validation, you start living in alignment. Some people are alone because they've been rejected, but others choose solitude because they've finally accepted themselves. But even when we walk alone, we still hear the voices. Praise from those who admire us, criticism from those who don't understand us. The question is, do we let those voices guide us, or do we stand firm in who we are, whether they clap or criticize? In the next chapter, we'll explore a higher kind of freedom, the kind where praise can't buy you and blame can't break you. Let's talk about what happens when you become untouchable. We all like to be seen, to be acknowledged. A kind word can lift us for days. A harsh word can haunt us for years. But there comes a moment when you realize that being constantly swayed by others is the fastest way to lose yourself. Because if their praise can build you, their criticism can destroy you. And when you live for applause, you become a puppet, dancing to songs you didn't write. A strong aura doesn't need validation because it's built on something deeper: self-honesty, self-awareness, and quiet conviction. People who are immune to praise and criticism aren't cold. They're clear. Clear on who they are and who they're not. Think of Keanu Reeves. He's been praised. He's been mocked. He's been misunderstood. But through it all, he stays calm, grounded, kind. He doesn't chase the spotlight. He doesn't explain himself. He simply lives by his values, whether the world cheers or jeers. That's not indifference. That's inner freedom. Praise is a drug. Blame is a chain. And both can control you, if you let them. But when your sense of worth comes from within, no one can give it to you, and no one can take it away. So next time you're praised, smile, but don't cling to it. Next time you're criticized, listen, but don't sink in it. Instead, come back to your core. Ask yourself, is this true for me? And let that be your compass. But what happens? When isn't the world just talking? When it's hurting? When life doesn't just whisper opinions, it shouts pain into your chest? Some people break. Others numb out. But a rare few, they rise. Not because they don't feel the pain, but because they've learned how to transform it. In the next chapter, we talk about what might be the rarest strength of all: turning pain into precision, turning wounds into wisdom. Everyone gets hurt. That's the rule of being human. Loss, failure, betrayal. We've all tasted it in some form, but here's the difference. Some let pain harden them. Others let it hone them. When your aura is strong, pain doesn't define you. It refines you. You don't run from it. You don't numb it. You study it. You learn from it. You sharpen through it. Pain has a way of showing us what truly matters. It strips away the noise. It humbles the ego. It forces us to look inward and ask, who am I without the things I've lost? People with a strong aura aren't invincible. They're just not afraid to bleed if it makes them wiser. They don't pretend to be untouched. They just refuse to stay broken. Think of Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor. He lost his family, his freedom, his dignity, but he didn't lose his purpose. In the middle of the most brutal suffering, he discovered one of the greatest truths of all. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our power to choose, and in our choice lies our growth and freedom. He went on to write Man's Search for Meaning and changed millions of lives. He didn't just survive pain, he transformed it into meaning. You don't have to be fearless, you don't have to be numb, but you do have a choice. Let your pain make you bitter or let it make you better. Next time life wounds you, don't just ask, why me? Ask instead, what is this trying to teach me? And more importantly, who can I become because of this? Because once you've faced your pain, once you walked through fire and come out steady, you no longer need to announce your strength. You become it. In our final chapter, we'll talk about a rare kind of presence, the kind that doesn't shout, doesn't perform, yet somehow changes the whole room. Let's talk about what it means to radiate without trying. Have you ever met someone who didn't say much, but somehow you felt them? Not because they were loud, not because they tried to impress, but because their presence was enough. That's the final sign of a strong aura. You radiate without having to perform. In a world obsessed with image, likes, followers, filters, endless noise, true presence is rare. But here's the truth. You don't have to shout when you embody something. When your actions align with your values, when your energy is still but strong, you become undeniable without needing to be seen. That kind of quiet strength. It doesn't beg for attention, it commands respect. Think of Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers. He spoke gently, moved slowly, never rushed, never flashy. Yet millions of children and adults felt safe in his presence. Why? Because he didn't try to perform. He was who he said he was, fully, authentically, always, and that authenticity is more magnetic than any performance. When you've done the inner work, you don't have to convince people of your worth. You just walk into the room, and your energy speaks first. You don't need titles. You don't need permission. You don't need the spotlight, because your light is already on inside you. That's the mark of someone who's not chasing the world, but anchored within themselves. So now, let's step back. Maybe you recognized one of these signs in yourself, maybe two, maybe none yet, and that's okay. Because this isn't a checklist to prove something. It's a mirror, a reminder that who you're becoming matters more than who you've been. The strongest aura isn't born overnight. It's built quietly, repeatedly, in every hard choice, every silent victory, every moment you chose alignment over approval. So if this spoke to you, if something deep inside whispered, yes, that's what I want to become, then don't let this just be a video you watched. Let it be a line in the sand. Starting today, pause before you react. Embrace time alone. Stop chasing opinions. Turn your pain into power, and above all, let your life speak louder than your voice ever could. And if you're on that path, you're not alone. Subscribe to the Stoic verse for more truths to guide your inner journey. And if this resonated, share it with someone who's ready to grow in silence too. Until next time, walk quietly, but carry a light no one can dim.